gotta prove it. You can't do that illegally. But hey. Oh, damn. Damn, slide Yagami. Oh, there it is. Alright, let's go ahead. Alright, so then, Chapter 1. Law and Legal Reasoning. Alright, so then, law and legal reasoning. First off, let's start it off. One of the important functions of law in any society is to provide stability, predicting, and continuity so that predictability, and continuity so that people can know how to order their affairs. If any society is to survive, its citizens must be able to determine what is legally right and legally wrong. They must know what sanctions will be imposed on them. If they commit wrongful acts, if they suffer harm as a result of others' wrong acts, they must know how they can seek compensation. Alright, so that's important right there. Okay, define sanctions. First, define sanctions. Let's find out what sanctions mean. Threatened penalty of disobeying a law rule, official permission and approval. Just copy and paste that. Alright, should work on my memory. Good idea. A threatened penalty for disobeying a law or rule. A threatened penalty for disobeying or breaking a law or rule. I probably messed that up. For disobeying a law or rule, or not even breaking. I guess breaking would be the uneducated way of saying it. Disobeying a law or rule. Let's go ahead and do that, and then do that. Alright, let's continue this up. So then, alright, if they suffer harm as a result of others' wrongful acts, they must know how to seek compensation. By setting forth the rights, obligations, and privileges of citizens, the law enables individuals to go about their business with confidence and certain degree of predictability. Although law has various definitions, they are all based on the general observation that law consists of enforceable rules governing relationships among individuals and between individuals and their society. These enforceable rules may consist of unwritten principles of behavior established by a nomadic tribe. They may be set forth in a law code, such as the Code of Hammurabi in ancient Babylon, or the law code of one of today's European nations. They must consist of written laws and court decisions created by modern legislative and judicial bodies, as in the United States. Regardless of how such rules are created, they all have one thing in common. They establish rights, duties, and privileges that are consistent with the values and beliefs of their society or ruling group. Laws establish rights, duties, and privileges that are consistent with values and beliefs of their society or its ruling group. Alright, in this introductory chapter, we first look at an important question for any student reading this text. How does the legal environment affect business decision making? We next describe the major sources of American law, the common law tradition, and some basic schools of legal thought. We conclude the chapter with sections offering practical guidance and several topics, including how to find the sources of law discussed in this chapter, referred to through the text, and how to read and understand court opinions. Laws and government regulations. Laws and government regulations affect almost all business activities, from hiring and firing decisions to workplace safety, the manufacturing and marketing of products, business financing, and more. To make good business decisions, a basic knowledge of the laws and regulations governing these activities is beneficial, if not essential. Realize also that in today's business world, a knowledge of black letter law is not enough. Business persons are also pressured to make ethical decisions. Business persons are also pressured to make ethical decisions. Thus, the study of business law necessarily involves an ethical dimension. Many different laws may affect a single business decision. As you will note, each chapter in this text covers specific areas of the law and shows how the legal rules in each area affect business activities. Though compartmentalizing the law in this fashion promotes conceptual clarity, it does not indicate the extent to which a number of different laws may apply to just one. A concept of a law can extend to various number of different laws that may apply to it. And Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook as a Harvard student. He probably did not imagine all the legal challenges his company would face as a result of his business decision. As you may know from the movie The Social Network, shortly after Facebook was launched, others claimed that Zuckerberg had stolen their ideas for a social networking site. Their claims involved alleged theft or intellectual property. See Chapter 8, Fraudulent Misrepresentation. Okay. Partnership law and security laws. Facebook ultimately paid a significant amount of $65 million to settle those claims out of court. Facebook has also been sued repeatedly for violating users' privacy, such as by disseminating private information to third parties for commercial purposes. In 2012, a class action lawsuit was filed against Facebook that seeks damages of $15 billion for violating users' privacy and federal wiretapping laws by tracking their website usage. Websites are doing that. Facebook's business decisions have also come under scrutiny by federal regulators, such as the Federal Trade Commission and the Securities and Exchange Commissions. In 2011, the company settled a complaint filed by the FTC alleging that Facebook failed to keep friends, lists, and other user information private. In 2012, Facebook conducted a much anticipated Alright, as I was continuing on, right. Facebook business decisions have also come under scrutiny by federal regulations such as the Federal Trade Commission and the Securities of Exchange. In 2011, the company settled a complaint filed by the FCC alleging that Facebook failed to keep friends lists and other user information private. In 2012, Facebook conducted a much anticipated initial public offering IPO of its stock. The IPO did not go well, however, and many investors suffered losses. Facebook is facing dozens of lawsuits, including class action related to business decision making with regards to the IPO and alleged violations of security laws. The SEC is also investigating whether Facebook engaged in wrongdoing with regard to its IPO and trading stocks. Points to consider. A key to avoiding business disputes is to think ahead when starting or running a business or entering a contract. Learn what you can about the laws pertaining to that specific enterprise or transaction. Enterprise. What is enterprise? A project or undertaking, typically one that is difficult or requires effort. A business or company, that's cool, enterprise. Alrighty. A key to avoiding business ethics and business decision making. Merely knowing the areas of law that may affect a business decision is not sufficient in today's business world. Business persons must also take ethics into account. As you will learn in Chapter 5, ethics generally is defined as the principles governing what constitutes right or wrong behavior. Today, business decisions makers need to consider not just whether a decision is legal, but also whether it is ethical. Today, business decision makers need to consider not just whether a decision is legal, but also whether it is ethical. Often, as in several of the claims against Facebook discussed above, disputes arise Are you the ugly man they're talking about? Often, as in several of claims against Facebook discussed above, disputes arise in business because one party feels that he or she has been treated unfairly. Thus, the underlying reason for bringing some lawsuits is a breach of ethical duty, such as when a partner or employee attempts to secretly take advantage of a business opportunity. Throughout this text, you will learn about the relationship between the law and ethics, as well as about some of the types of ethical questions that often arise in business. For example, the unit's ending focus on ethics features are devoted solely to the exploration of ethical questions pertaining to topics treated within the unit. We have also included ethical dimension questions for selected cases that focus on ethical consideration in today's business climate and insights into ethics features that appear in select chapters. A question of ethics case problem is included at the conclusion of every chapter to introduce you to ethical aspects of specific case involving real life situations. Additionally, Chapter 5 offers a detailed look at the importance of business ethics. There are numerous sources of American law. Primary sources of law or sources that establish the law include the following: the U.S. constitutions and the constitutions of various states. Statutory law, including laws passed by Congress, state legislatures, or local governing bodies. Regulations created by administrative agencies such as the Food and Drug Administration, case law, and common law. We describe each of these important sources of law in the following pages. Secondary sources of law are books. Secondary source of law are books and articles that summarize clearly the primary source of law. Example include legal encyclopedias, treaties, articles in law reviews, and compilations of law, such as the restatements of the law, which will be discussed shortly. Courts often refer to secondary sources of law for guidance in interpreting and applying the primary sources of law. Bro, I gotta read that again. First sources, right, primary, and then secondary sources help us understand the primary. Alright, but the secondary is still just as good as the first. It's not better because it's a clear understanding. Alright. Courts often refer to secondary sources of law for guidance. Alright. Constitutional law. The federal government and the state laws separate written constitutions that set forth the general organization, powers, and limits of their respective governments. Constitutional law is the law as expressed in these constitutions. According to Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. As such, it is the basis of all law in the United States. Law in violation of the Constitution, if challenged, will be declared unconstitutional and will not be enforced. It means anything that tries to challenge a constitution law is negated. Will not be enforced, no matter what its source is. Because of its importance in the American legal system, we present the complete text of U.S. constitutions in Appendix B and discuss it in depth in Chapter 4. It's already kind of new. Constitutional law, supreme law. Any what? Any law in violation of the Constitution which shall Yeah, that's the reason why I took biz law. Exactly. The professor gave me everything I needed. He gave me all the information I needed. That guy's my hero. He's my all might. I don't care if he's offended by it. You are my hero. All right. The 10th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution reserves to the states all powers not granted to the federal government. Each state in the Union has its own constitution unless it conflicts with the U.S. Constitution or a federal law. What? Each state in the Union has its own constitution unless it conflicts with the U.S. Constitution or federal law. A state constitution is supreme within state borders. A state's law can not challenge a constitutional law. Unless it conflicts with the U.S. Constitution or federal law, a state constitution. Unless if it conflicts, alright? State constitution is supreme within the state's borders. Laws enacted by legislative bodies at any level of government, such as statutes passed by Congress or by state level. Laws enacted by legislative bodies, okay, or make up the body of law known as statutory law. When a legislator passes a statute, that statute ultimately is included in the federal code of laws or the relevant state code of laws discussed later. Statutory law also includes local ordinances, statutes, laws, rules, or orders passed by municipal or county governing units to govern matters not covered by federal or state law. Ordinances commonly have to do with city or county land use. A federal statute, of course, applies to all states. A state statute, in contrast, applies only within the state's borders. State laws, thus, may vary from state to state. No federal statute may violate the U.S. Constitution, and no state statute or local ordinance may violate the U.S. Constitution or the relevant state constitution. Alright, cool. So there he broke the law. Anyways, I gotta head out because I'm getting a little tired.